It's true, bamboo bedding is dreamy to sleep on. That's why Quince aptly named their Bamboo Dream Quilt Set. Coming in 12 colors, you're absolutely going to love this quilt and 2 shams set. Starting at the softest of pinks and going all the way to a dark navy. It's going to be perfect for anyone's room. Your own, your guest rooms, your kids' rooms, maybe even back to the dorm bedding. Quince has everything you need to elevate your space, from bedding to soft organic towels, airy curtains, and premium kitchen tools designed for everyday use. And of course, as you know, Quince has gorgeous cashmere and other wardrobe essentials. And the best part, Quince's products are half the cost of similar brands. They partner with top artisans and cut out the cost of the middleman, passing the savings on to us. Thank you, Quince. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, so you can feel good about your purchases from Quince. Elevate your space with home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. 60-30-10 won't crack a safe, but it will decode your decorating. Hey everybody, it's Kelly Wilkins here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. We hope you had a wonderful, fun, and relaxing summer. We did too, but amidst the fun and relaxation, we carved out time to create something new for you. So starting this month, we are sharing bonus content. At the end of each month, you will have an extra bonus episode of decorating tips and tricks to enjoy. During the bonus episodes, Anita and I will be discussing all things design and decorating. This bonus content is absolutely free to you, and if you're a subscriber, it'll come directly to your device. All you need to do is click and enjoy. Next week, we'll be back with all new shows, and at the end of the month, tune in for our first bonus episode. Today, we're discussing the color rule. It's a really important rule to understand and to learn how to use in your home. It is going to give balance to the colors in your room. It's a degrees to which you should use colors in your room, the proportions of the colors, the percentages. So 60% should be your main color. Tweak this rule in a few different ways, and we'll talk about that as the episode goes on. But we really want you to keep this rule in mind. If you're not familiar with it at all, we're going to go a little deeper into it. If you have heard of it before, or you utilize it, or you think you're utilizing it, start imagining, if you're not at home right now, like what your home looks like. How much of certain color do you have in a room, and are you adhering to this rule?
Yeah, and if you have a neutral room, you may be not following it exactly, and that's okay. There's a lot of different ways to approach the rule. But traditionally, it is the 60-30-10. Another way you can think of it is 2/3, 1/3, and a little pop thrown in, if you don't like math.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, but you really can't get through the day without math. But, and that's why I have Anita, because she's very good at math. So here's the thing you think about. So what is the 60? That's sort of your main color. And we're talking about not just accessories. We're talking about the whole shebang. So the walls, the paint color of the walls, maybe the flooring even. You're going to think of the 60 is going to incorporate a lot of that type of color, where that color is. So it's sort of like your backdrop color. The secondary color you can think of, depending on the type of room you're considering: drapes, accent chair, the bed linens, any painted furniture. So it's a color that's going to support the main color. You want to have it different enough. It can be wildly different, but you at least want it to be different enough that it doesn't sort of just look like a different shade or hue of the other color. And then you're going to have your 10% is your accent color. So again, think about different types of rooms. It could be pillows, tossed pillows. It could be a basket for a plant. It could be accessories. It could be a tray. It could be a throw. Things like that that's just going to bring in that pop.
If you think about it, if you see stripes often on something, there's kind of a weight to the stripes versus the other color. And this 60-30-10, it's a balance thing. So, I mean, think about if you had maybe a stripe in the center of a blue stripe and the rest of it was white, that kind of makes sense. But I think it would be weird if you had, I mean, I shouldn't say weird, but it's not as typically done, where maybe you have a towel or something and one side is one color and the other side is another color. I mean, so there is something to this 60-30-10, because 50-50, I think, would feel off balance in a way.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I wasn't sure what you were talking about initially with the stripe, because I know we're going to talk about patterns in a little bit, but I see what you're saying now. What you're saying, like if there was a stripe and then there was some white and then maybe you had a thin line or something, you're saying in a pattern, like how that would all play together.
Well, I'm saying if you had a stripe in this, right, maybe a stripe is a third of the whole width of a towel, and the rest of it's white, it feels balanced. But if there's one side of the towel is one color, 50%, and the other 50%, the other side of the towel is a different color, that doesn't feel balanced.
Right. They're almost fighting, right? Because who is going to be dominant?
You're kind of like, I think it's almost like a confusion feel. Your brain, I mean, this is why we talk about the limited color palette all the time, because I think your brain is saying, like, I don't know which color is the most important one here.
Yes. So it's not pleasing to the eye. Yeah,
I don't think in general
tension.
it is. No, right. I mean, that's why I think you want this, that you don't want equal amounts of every color, because if that happens, it has this confused feel to the room. And I think there's something to that. And if you can certainly test it out in your own room and see if you know what just see if it holds true for you. But if you start looking at patterns and designs of fabrics, you'll see that this rule is used a lot, especially in stripes.
Right. So this bigger rule that we're talking about that you can apply to all the rooms in your house, actually in a small scale, is being utilized in a pattern on a fabric, in the repeat of it, in wallpapers, in all sorts of places. This 60-30-10 comes into play.
I think it's something that just helps the room to feel balanced. So obviously your biggest palette, your biggest way to introduce color in a room is going to be the color on the wall. So that whatever color is on your wall, that's probably going to be the color that is your 60. And I think in most homes, that tends to be a fairly neutral color. It tends to be off-white or a cream or a gray, some sort of color like that. And when I was preparing to talk about this, the color rule, I was thinking, I really want to do a room in a dark color on the wall. I think that would be fun, because I end up going with light colors on the wall and dark colors in accents. But I think that would be fun to do that again. I haven't done that in a long time, where you have a dark color on the wall.
Yeah, actually, while you were saying that about the white, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's so true. But I would love to do a navy room, and I'm not even a blue girl, but
I know
there's something about navy that is just so pretty. But then, so don't think that your 60 has to be a creamy white.
No, it doesn't have to be. It just typically is.
It typically is, but right. But if you, particularly in a smaller room or a room that can take a dark color, like a study type of room, something like that, you can apply this rule to any colors. So you could do the darker and the really bold color could be your 60. And then in some cases, maybe the white is your 10%, but it's just sort of keeping that balance and keeping that proportion. And it gives you the flow too, because as Anita was giving that example with, the towel, and one side is blue and one side is white. Well, there's no flow there. There's tension, or there's confusion, but there's no flow. So if you've got the 60-30-10 and it's working all around the room, you're not going to have all the 10% in one side of the room and then the 30 in the middle, and then the whole rest of it's going to be the 60. It's all going to be working together to create this flow. So those colors will be all around, bringing your eye all around the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've done a lot of rooms before I went more neutral, where there was a lot of color all over the room, but I tried to limit it to, like we said, kind of to 3. And that's helpful to kind of just pull it all together. And if you have a neutral room, I think you can go with different shades, perhaps of the same color, or it's just going to be a little different mix if you have a neutral room. And I used to, when I first had lots of color in my Tuscan phase, we talk about a lot of us had a Tuscan phase, and then I went very neutral. I know, Miss Autumnal. But then I got rid of all the color and I went very neutral, and it was a very new thing for me. And this was around 2011 when I went very neutral, and I had so much color in my house and I wanted to try a neutral thing. And you can't just go halfway and make it work. You really need to go full on with the neutral to make it. You can't go half neutral. If it's half neutral, it's not neutral. So I kind of went with all whites and creams. I really kind of pulled almost all the color out of the room. And then I felt like it felt a little flat. So once I got to that point, I started adding some color back in and felt like I really do need some accent color in the room. So, I mean, that's kind of part of the rule, though, is that it's good to have some contrast in the room. You don't want it all. And that's also what we've talked about with some people that have the white rooms that don't have any other color in the room. If it's just white and all, especially if it's all the same shade of white, there's no contrast. And it's just as bad as the 50-50 when you have 51 color and 50 another. If you have all white and no other anything else in the room, that feels flat too. That feels maybe not tense and cluttered and stressful, but it feels boring.
Yeah. Yeah. And floaty and you need something. And the fun thing about it is this accent color. The main color could be interesting and dramatic, like we're saying, but most of the time, because it's a larger room or you just want to have a neutral backdrop or a white backdrop, you're going to have those lighter whites and creams and taupey colors. And then the secondary color can be kind of interesting, but the accent color is really where the fun comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose the 60 and the 30 colors well, then the accent color can change. And it's such an easy way to switch it out. We've talked about that with our neutral homes or, neutral palettes that we've now come to love. Part of the thing that I love about it is that it's so easy to pull out a color and just snap it another color and change it, almost on a whim, or change it seasonally if you feel like it. It's so much fun just to take out maybe some pillows, a throw, and maybe a couple of accent pieces, and bam, the look is so different. Depending on what the 60 and 30 is, you could be doing that whether you're neutral or not. Don't you think, Anita?
Yeah, I think if you've got the neutral base, it's much more flexible. If you're one of those people that you decorate it once and you're done for 10 years, then you're fine. But if you really like changing things up all the time, neutral is a great base to go with. And then you can kind of mix in whatever patterns, whatever you're feeling that week, or you can change it out as the seasons change.
Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. I can't stop using dupe.com. This is an amazing website, service, best friend. I absolutely love it. So you find something that you really want and it's too expensive, it's a budget buster. Then you use dupe.com and you can find almost the exact thing or very similar products for much less. So I was crushing on this incredibly gorgeous coffee table. I had it in my mind. I had it in my Pinterest boards. I had it everywhere, but I just didn't have it in my house because it was too expensive. When I learned about dupe.com, that was the first product that I tested. And boy, did I find some amazing dupes. And I purchased one. So the original was almost $3,000. And Dupe showed me many choices, all the way down to under $200. Now, you may think something this extraordinary is hard to use, but it's so easy. Just type dupe.com/ before any product URL in your browser, and boom, it instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account required, no sign up required. It's completely free. That's completely free free to use. Stop wasting your money on brand names and start saving with dupe.com today.
So I think you can really use this 60-30-10 rule, not just with colors, but with patterns. So what you can do is use one pattern, 60% of use in the room, and then choose another one for 30%. And then a third pattern is going to be used just sparingly, 10%. And I think the way I would recommend splitting that up is to use the splashy the boldest, biggest print as the accent, the 10%. And then the other two prints are going to be simpler with fewer colors, maybe a stripe or a check, something that's a smaller print and something that coordinates, but maybe it has fewer colors than the splashy print. I mean, what do you think about that, Kelly?
Yeah, that's the way I would traditionally do it. Even if you're thinking you're 10%, it could be, I'm kind of in my mind's picturing pillows because that's a really easy thing to imagine. So imagine pillows on a sofa and you've got some big floral and then maybe you've got a stripe and then maybe you've got something small, a small paisley or small dots or something. And it's all pulling in the same colors and the same hues. And so it's all working together, but they're not fighting too much with each other. And even that 10%, maybe you say, oh, I love the big splashy floral and I like the stripe, but I can't really find a small pattern that works with them that I really like. You could make that 10, now like personified as this pillow. I guess it's not personified, but acting as this pillow is
right.
Your 10% just on the sofa in our example. You could make that a Mongolian fur pillow in one of the colors. You could make it some sort of really textured pillow too. So it's different. It doesn't even have to be a pattern, but it can be like this standalone. It doesn't have to have a mate because lots of times you want to have pillows and have, one on one side, one on the other side, and they're the same pattern. But this accent one, so if you're picturing sort of the traditional setup, you've got your two pillows, maybe 22s by 22s or 20s by 20s, and then a pillow which is in the 30% sort of next to it. And then you've got one in the center. The accent in the center, that little 10%, that can be kind of really anything fun and different.
I love the idea of throwing in something different, maybe something with some fur, like you said, the Mongolian pillows. What about even some sort of animal print? I mean, we all need a little cheetah in our lives, I think.
Or a little cougar. I mean, excuse me. No. Yeah.
Speak for yourself there.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm standing alone with my cougar outfit. I think that is a really great idea. And of course, an animal print, that's going to work with just about anything. So that's really fun. So, don't feel like it has to be, okay, now I need to find a small pattern that goes with it. That's going to be my 10%. You can pull that sort of, out of anywhere as long as it's working with the general palette that you've got going on. But
well, it doesn't have to be all three patterns. You could do some color with pattern, some solid color for some of those, and then pattern.
Right.
For some of those.
Yeah. And I mean, and obviously it's a rule that can be broken if you feel the need or if it just is working in your room. But 60-30-10 it's like having the limited color palette. And it's giving you proportions really to that limited color palette. It helps narrow the universe a little bit too, in a good way.
Like so many rules in life, it's good to know what the rule is. It's good to master it. Once you've mastered it, once you feel comfortable with it, then I think that's the time to step back and say, is it working for me in this space? And maybe I want to change it up. But if you don't even know what the rule is and you end up with 50% one color and 50% another color, I think you're going to have confusion in the room. So that's why I think it is important to educate yourself and find out what these rules are, because they are kind of a starting point. It's fine to break the rule but I feel like it's good to know what the rule is and understand that you are breaking it and why you're breaking it and what's going on and why the rule exists. Right. And that's going to keep you from getting that 50% of this color and 50% of that color. It's going to help you understand that there needs to be the main color, then maybe a supporting actor, and then your little character actor that's in there somewhere else.
Yeah, well put. It's so true. And it's fabrics, colors. I think that's people really have trouble narrowing it down. There's so many choices. So when you think about it, like, you find one that you love. Oh, okay, this is a mid-sized pattern that I love. Well, then try to find a bigger pattern, something splashier that you love too, and then try to find something smaller, and then see how you like all those swatches together. And I think that then you're well on your way, and it won't seem so daunting to pick things out for your beautiful home. Speaking of beautiful homes, we have so many so many listener questions lately that we're trying to work one or two into each show. So today we have one for Patricia C. And this is about something that I hadn't really considered, it being a dated look. Because dare say, Patricia, I do have it in my own master bath. Patricia's wondering about swag lighting. You know, that lighting where you've got the fixture, but it needs to be someplace else. So you have the chain and it comes over and it's attached by a hook or some other device to the ceiling in the spot that you want it. Now, obviously, this could be something that you need to do because of practicality or budgetary needs. Maybe that's just where, or you're renting and that's just where the electrical box is, but that's not where your table is. Hence, that's not where you want your light to be. Or maybe you just like the look of swagging it over. It is a little, more dramatic to have the extra chain and all of that. So we wanted to talk about, what do we feel about swag lighting? And what do you do if that is the situation that you find yourself in?
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up because this was my mother-in-law's favorite look. She loved
the
swagger.
swags.
Oh, she was a swagger, all right. And,
wow. I didn't know. I have not known too many people to swag more than maybe once in their house.
Well, she swagged everywhere. If you
everywhere.
could swag, she swagged.
Wow.
And she used these
one
instead
swag is good, 10 swags, even better.
I don't know. She kind of liked it in place of a lamp. And because these you can just, it's a couple different things. One is because the light, the box might not be where you need it. And maybe your table is moved over.
Yeah.
So you might want to swag over maybe a foot to the left or right. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. But she actually did these where they were plugged in. So these were in place of lamps. So
plug and swag. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this was the 70s, I think, when she bought all these. It wasn't the 70s when I saw them. But it was, I think,
just last week, actually.
Yeah. That's when she bought them. So the one she had, I was not a fan of. So these were not.
Well, I think you can probably overswag. I'm thinking.
Well, maybe she had overswagged, but I think that maybe the problem I had with the one she had was that they were, they just were dated.
Well, this is what Patricia's saying. She says she has to do it because, just the electrical box is there. And
but just because
you have spot, and is it dated? And how could she, if it is dated, how could she make it look better?
Okay. Well, but wait a minute, but I want to back up. If all you're doing is, if you have a chandelier and all you're doing is you had to swag it a foot this way or that to get it over the table, I don't think that is dated at all. That's just you moving it. No. I don't think that's a problem at all. But those lamps that you plug in that have like the wicker and then the ball globe.
Oh, yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. But I don't think that, no, I saw Patricia's,
no, Patricia, I'm sure Patricia, you're fine. And so I've done that for the same reason. I don't think there's a problem with that at all.
Well, I'm so glad because I went ahead and told her she was so fine in an email.
Oh, well,
and then I told her we would talk about it because I was like, I hope Anita agrees. Yeah, because I have that situation in the master bath because before we were finished, I had them put the light box in a place where I didn't really want to have it anymore because I wanted to have this chandelier that I found in the middle of the room. I didn't want it over the vanity, which is where I originally thought I would want a light fixture. So there it is swagged. But I think because my chandelier in the bathroom, it's obviously not that big. It's in the bathroom. I just think it adds a little presence to it because it's got this actual swag going on.
Oh, well, and it saves money. And do you know in the mountain house,
it's expensive
we had to I
those.
moved where the table was going. I kind of moved it over. And so I had the electrician come and I said, hey, move that light over there. Well, I didn't realize because it's a cathedral ceiling, there was no place for them to go up in the attic to move the box. So it's actually a box you can see and then a conduit to the new box. And I was just like, dudes, if I'd known you were going to do that, I would have just swagged it. What are you doing? So anyway, and I could have saved a lot of money. So no, in that case, I think I'm a fan of the swag. If you need to do it,
I think I am too. And then what do you think? So the other thing I did say to Patricia was about those chain covers. Mate, I don't think you need a chain cover, but if you didn't like your chain, how do you feel about those chain covers?
I think they're fine. I mean, I think that's really a personal preference. I mean, if you have them, they do get dusty, so you'll need to clean them more. But I guess you're going to have to dust the chain too. So I don't know that there's much difference.
Right.
I think the thing is, yeah, but if you have a chain that you like, maybe you're not going to feel like you need to cover it. And
Right.
that is something that you can easily change out that chain.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, you can. I mean, even at the hardware stores, if you go
No
to
electrician required.
no electrician required. Exactly. They have kind of cool chains at hardware stores normally, just on those bolts, and you can buy them by the foot. Yeah. So, Patricia, I think you're in really good shape with the swagging.
Well, and Patricia, if you want the cover, I say go for it. But if you don't want it, I really don't think it's necessary.
On that note, remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. And thank you for the beautiful community that has come together here at Decorating Tips and Tricks. You're all really, really special to us. Until next time. Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.